Hey there, Danny here. Welcome to my ramblings. I got a horrible head cold. It's been awful. Anyways, I just took more medicine, so we should be good here shortly. And I got my tea. Um, yes, with a little bit of honey. um, I don't do that often. I generally don't like my tea sweet at all, but once in a while, I'll put a little honey in it. Anyways, I wanted to come on here and talk to you tonight. So, I have this weird ability to be able to explain something complicated to people who don't understand it, lay people. And I know how to dumb things down. And the reason that I'm good at it is because growing up as a child, you came home from school and you showed your parents your grades and they were good, and they gave you kudos and maybe put it on the fridge and told you what a good kid you were and how proud they were of you. I didn't bring good grades home because if I did, I had to listen to my mom be mad at me and tell me that I was smarter than her, and that because I was her daughter, I wasn't allowed to be smarter than her. So as a child, I had no choice but to not be smart. And I talked to you a lot of times. I share this story with you because I talked to you a lot of times about preconditioning. And this is a perfect story for preconditioning. I loved school up until like second or third grade. And that's because that's when it started with me being smarter than her, and I wasn't allowed to be smarter than her. So at first I just went along with it. And just didn't tell her a lot of stuff. And then she'd ask. And if we had parent-teacher conferences and they were good, then I'd have to listen to it the whole ride home and up until I went to bed. And so I just decided it was easier to not try. I didn't help myself by listening to that because that preconditioned me. So when I got out into the world, I had been hearing this for so long growing up that it had actually embedded in my mind. It was stuck in my brain. It was preconditioned into me. And then I would go on. When the kids got to junior high, I decided that I was going to go back to college, or that I was going to go to college. I hadn't gone at all. I had kids right out of high school. So when the kids got into junior high, then I went into college, and I was taking my associates in paralegal. And it was the first time since I was a small child that I actually realized I'm really smart. I was the top of my class. I grasped things that other people didn't. Everybody came to me for information. They're like, well, you're really smart. I'm like, I'm not really smart. I just read the stuff and do what I'm told. Anyways, I ended up graduating, I don't even 4 point something. I don't know. I ended up, no, I think it's 4 is the highest. Whatever. I ended up just below whatever the highest is for the GPA. And that was just because psychology, the instructor in there and I didn't see eye to eye. So he didn't like me very well, and he didn't like some of my responses. And 2, college algebra, I ended up getting a B on. But other than those 2 classes, I got all A's. And I worked a full-time job. I had a husband and children at the time, a whole house. I mean, it was a full life. But it was the first time that I really started to search back and think, wow, it was put inside me. Sorry. Everybody's sick out here. My friend Jen's daughter's out here in Phoenix. She's got sick. The people in the house, 2 of them have been sick, now me. Everybody's getting sick out here. Anyways, and I don't get colds. I don't get sick like this usually. Anyways, it's because I'm around all these people that are sick. Anyways, I wanted to show that I didn't comprehend how much my playing dumb just to survive in that house, so I didn't have to be emotionally and mentally abused all the time, how much I held on to that and believed it. And I really started looking over that's really when I started looking over like my childhood and things like that, and why I am the way I am about certain things. Why should I be like this? Why should I care what anybody else thinks if I don't value their opinion? This is me going to college and realizing that I was actually really smart. Made me start looking into what the preconditioning was. I didn't know that word for it at the time. That would be something I would find out later. But it made me really look back over things and going, what else was I preconditioned on? What else was I told about myself that is wrong? That I've held on to. Excuse me. Throat gets a little dry. Anyways, so that is one form of preconditioning. Something that you have been told repeatedly. The more consistent, just look at what I said in consistency in the video, a couple videos back ago about consistency. Preconditioning is about the consistency. What did they constantly tell you? What did they consistently tell you about yourself? You knew as a child when it started that you weren't that. But by the time you got out into adulthood, you sucked it all up inside of you. You believed what they told you because you played that role too long. You played the role so you could survive. You're now out in the real world. You don't need to survive anymore. They don't live with you. You have the total say over your life now. But that takes a while to understand that. And I wanted to share that with you because preconditioning is really where we stay trapped. Things that, exes and friends and things like that. There's certain things that people say to us that we tend to internalize. Well, that's what forgiveness is about. Forgiveness isn't necessarily telling them that what they're doing is okay. It's not saying that they're off the hook for anything. Forgiveness is you. Forgiving yourself for believing it, for allowing them to have that kind of power and control over you. You handed your power over. You were a child, you don't understand it. That's why I talk about it preconditioning. You didn't know what was going on. You were just doing what you had to do at the time. Once you become an adult, though, that's totally on you. I don't care what your childhood was. It's no right for you to continue the same cycle. If it was done to you and you didn't like it, you wouldn't be doing it to another human being. If you are doing it to another human being that was done to you, then you need to go get some help. You're not dealing with a full deck up here. Because if you were hurt in any way, shape, or form as a child, you would never, ever want to hurt a child and make them feel the way that you did. And if you are doing that, you're a sick fuck who needs a lot of mental help. Go get yourself checked out. But the reason that I bring it up is I really want to punch home the biggest thing about all of this, about learning to love yourself, find your true authentic self, and energetically leveling up, is 100% you gotta start with the preconditioning. Those little voices in your head that tell you you're not good enough. Those little voices that call you dumb. Those little voices that sit in your head that say you can't do anything right. Where did they come from? Those are your preconditionings. Work on them. Figure out where they came from. and go out and prove to yourself, not to anybody else, to yourself, that what they said wasn't true. So I spent a lot of my adult life. I mean, I was married twice. I spent 16 years with my second ex-husband. I've not been single very much since I started dating when I was in high school. And I think, maybe 9 months, a year, and then I'd meet somebody else, or there'd be somebody that was a friend of a friend or something, and whatever. But I was never single all that long. And my mother used to like to throw in my face that I need a man, that I couldn't live without him. And I remember telling her, nope. I said, why do I have to go without one? If they want to be there and I think they're a nice guy and we're getting along, why can't I give it a shot? That's not needing him. That's let's see where this goes. That's living a life instead of sitting in a house collecting welfare and going out and drinking every weekend. Preconditioning gets you set up for a lot of things. And you gotta figure out what those are. And after the last relationship where I got arrested, I in my mind, I had to prove something to myself. And one was, I'm the common denominator. Either something is wrong with me and I need to get some mental help, or I need to figure out why I'm attracting all these people. And that's why in 2020, I started on this journey of loving myself, finding my true authentic self, and energetically loving up. Get on my walk with the man upstairs. We're in a totally good relationship. We're like best friends now. And so if you see me driving around town and you see me laughing, it's probably because I'm having a conversation with him. Anyways, this is why I started on the journey. Was because I was like, okay, well, the one common denominator in all of those relationships was me. Now, all of the guys that I had been in relationships with, they weren't all the same. They were, if you looked at them physically and mentally and intellectually in every way, they were different. But each one of them had something that reminded me of my mother. And in my head, I wanted to believe that if I could help them fix this, well, then all of my childhood pain wasn't for nothing. That was dumb thinking. Preconditioning, though, that's what I'm talking about. You're preconditioned on things, so you tend to look at things in certain ways. Just like Maya Angelou said, you do better when you know better. We're all human beings. Every single one of us. The ones who are mean and cruel and abusive and everything else, they're a human being too. The problem is they never dealt with their shit. So because they stuffed it down and somebody shook that bottle of soda and popped the top off, they're exploding all over everybody else because they couldn't deal with the emotions. Instead, they sucked it down. Can't do that. It'll turn you bitter and angry and hateful and negative. 100% it will. But I share these things with you because I'm hoping that maybe you can learn something from me sharing my stories, and you'll want to start doing some, work on your preconditioning or anything. And if you've got some other topics that you would like me to discuss, shoot me a message and let me know what you want me to discuss. And maybe once we get enough people, I can do a Q&A where we can do it live and you can ask questions. Anyways, feel free to reach out. I just wanted to give you some heads up on what different types of preconditioning is, and how you end up using it later in life, and it sabotages you. You screw yourself because you never took your power back from when you handed it over as a child. And that's basically, in its simplest form, what preconditioning is. And that's not saying that the parents were bad. That is not what that's saying. Those parents did the best with what they had and what they knew. So, I mean, back then, women, my grandmother and before her, they had to have a man. They couldn't have jobs. They depended on a man. So if he was abusive and a fuck, who cares if he brought in a fucking paycheck? They had to deal with it. That hurt and pain that they had to deal with got passed down to their kids. Their kids then became my generation's parents. And they passed it to us. We did best we could because really, Gen X, they didn't want to see us. As long as we were not near them, bothering them, they didn't care what the hell we were doing. So we, all of us as a collective, Gen X, has parented differently. And that's how it goes. But somebody has to break that. Somebody has to stop all that preconditioning and start fresh. And you can do it. And I can help you. I've just done it for myself. And life is so much better. I had to think for a minute. That wasn't more better. That was much better. Don't want to make that slip up. The grammar police might have a problem. Anyways, guys, I'm tired. Evidently, my medicine is kicking in. So I'm going to take the dogs out. We're going to go to bed. I will talk to you in a day or two. Feel free to share whatever you want down in the comments. Go ahead and reach out if you have something specific you want to talk about, or if you want me to do a video on, you want me to elaborate on any of the other videos that you've seen. Just give me the title and I'll look over it, and then I'll add to what I already know. Because I'm gonna tell you my biggest addiction is I have to have knowledge. I love to learn. So I'm constantly reading things, and that takes me to other places, and I just go down this rabbit hole of, oh my God, I'm learning this, and oh my God, I'm learning this. I have to be constantly sorry. I have to constantly be learning something, because my brain I'm curious, which there will be a future video on my curiosity too. Anyways, guys, have a nice night. I'll see you in a day or two. Love you. Bye.